When your dreams come alive, you're unstoppable. Take a shot, chase the sun, find the beautiful.
Imagine that you sign up for a very, very challenging sporting event, which requires you thousands of hours of training and discipline. You work so hard because this is your dream. However, this dream will take a lot of risks because it requires you to stand on a stage just like this in front of hundreds of people and flex your muscle. But you are only allowed to wear a tiny piece of clothing. Just like this. Seriously? What is this sporting event? It's bodybuilding. A year ago, before I came to Capital, I was an MBA student at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. At that time, I did one thing. I competed in a bodybuilding competition and earned the title of Mr. Pan. That was not only a highlight of my MBA experience, but also a defining moment of my life to make me believe that anything is possible as long as I have the determination. So you guys may be wondering, why bodybuilding, Jackson? The short answer is, I wanted to impress my then girlfriend. But more importantly, it was my childhood dream to become a bodybuilder. When I was young, I loved Bruce Lee, not only because of his kung fu, but also because of his great body. Even until now, I would spend hours and hours on YouTube watching bodybuilding video. Then one day, I told myself, if I have the time to watch those YouTube videos and envying someone, why don't I spend this time to go to the gym and change myself? That was how I started hitting the gym. 3 years ago, when I first came to the US and got into Wharton, I saw a poster, Mr. Pan bodybuilding competition. At that time, I told myself, maybe I should give it a shot. Because I know that for these 2 years of MBA, it will be the last chance in my life to compete for a bodybuilding competition. I didn't expect any love for this one. But you know what? It wasn't an easy decision to make because I tried to drag my friends to come with me, but no one among 1,600 MBA students was willing to go with me. Why? Because signing up for a bodybuilding competition means that you couldn't drink wherever you want, you couldn't eat wherever you want, and you couldn't party wherever you want. As you may have known, MBA students only do one thing: partying! Signing up for a bodybuilding competition is not a typical MBA experience. But at that time, I told myself, if I have to remember one thing, just one thing about my MBA experience, what would it be? Playing 2 years of beer pong? Well, don't get me wrong, I love playing beer pong, and I'm quite good at it, but I'm not particularly proud of it. And I always follow a life philosophy that my dad told me: live my life with no regret. That's why I decided to sign up. So first, I reached out to other competitors who were the college athletes in the UPenn track and field team. I saw them every day in the gym. I asked them, yo, bro, can I train with you guys? They looked at me and said, nah. I knew where they were coming from because they didn't want to spend time with an amateur grad school student who was 10 years older than them, just like their uncle. Not cool. Therefore, the rejection turned me to elsewhere. I reached out to a retired coach at UPenn, track and field. His name is Coach T. I asked him, Coach T, I really, really, really wanted to compete on the stage. Could you please train me? Coach T, who was a former bodybuilder and a professional shot put athlete who represented the USA in the 1972 Olympics, decided to train me for free. At that time, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to do whatever he says. I just wanted to compete on the stage. Then you guys may be wondering, how did you prepare, Jackson? Well, Coach T gave me two things, a training program and a dietary program. For the training part, I trained twice a day, 30 minutes in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. I did that for a year. But actually, that was an easy part because I've been doing triathlons for many, many years since college. I did 8 triathlons before and a half Ironman. So this type of training wasn't that new to me. The difficult part was the diet, because you need to eat very, very, very clean. The rule was 30-20. First, you needed to gain 30 pounds of muscle in the first 10 months. Then, you needed to lose 20 pounds of fat in the last 2 months. But bodybuilding is not about how heavy you lift or how clean you eat. It's all about your mentality, because you needed to fight against all the temptations and all the discouragements, even from your best friend and from your family. This guy, his name is Andre. Great guy, best friend in NBA, played very good beer pong. And we even did triathlons together in Miami. And he's now my colleague. He works at CG London. He has been very supportive to all my life decisions. He was willing to travel halfway around the world from London to Asia for my wedding. And he's willing to travel halfway around the world from London to Los Angeles for today's CapitalSpeaks event. But when this guy, he learned that I was eating 10 eggs every day for a year, he told me, Jackson, you're disgusting. Now I got discouraged the first time. But I knew where he was coming from, because what kind of idiot would bring a box of eggs to school every day, peel it off one by one, and eat them in class every day? And in fact, my mom was thinking the same. When she realized that I was eating 10 eggs every day for a year, she called me and said, son, why are you doing this to yourself? You are now 30 years old. You are not supposed to compete with those American college athletes because they grew up drinking milk and playing football. And you grew up eating dim sum and playing ping pong. You know what? I love my mom, but I got discouraged the second time. But I kept telling myself, relax, Jackson, I can do this. Because I have two things. One, I got a great coach who went to the Olympics. And two, I have the right attitude. I work my butt off. I know that I can do this. But until 2 months before my competition, after gaining 30 pounds after the 10 months of bulking season, I looked like this. Well, I looked into the mirror. I asked myself, after thousands, close to 1,000 hours of training, what's going on, Jackson? And more importantly, 2 months later, just 2 months, I need to wear a Speedo in front of the whole university. What should I do? Should I just give up? Bodybuilding is not easy, especially the last 2 months of preparation period. How could you lose 20 pounds in 2 months, Jackson? Well, I just ate 3 things: boiled eggs, boiled chicken breast, and boiled vegetables. And what's worse, in order to look cut and dry on the stage, I stopped drinking water 3 days before the competition. At that time, I felt like, oh my God, I wanted to collapse. I'm exhausted. I wanted to give up. But I kept telling myself, this would be the last chance in my life to compete for a bodybuilding competition. I have no exit. And more importantly, I have a dream. I wanted to make my NBA experience memorable. And I have a dream. I wanted to give myself no regret. And I have a dream. I wanted to become a bodybuilder. And that's how I looked like on the stage, finally. And guess what? I also won. Let me show you the final show-out video.
I got the remedy for make you de-stress out. Me have a plan to become a God bless out. And girl, if you want it, you have to contest out. On a live where we need set speed.
All right, gentlemen, great. Just face your audience. Third place, Jackson Hugh. Yay for Wharton.
As the oldest competitor, I won a runner-up out of the whole university. I still clearly remember that the day after my competition, when I first stepped into the Wharton School building, many of my classmates, who I knew or didn't know, came to me, shook my hands, and congratulated me. At that time, I felt like over 1,000 hours of training, over 3,000 hard-boiled eggs, and 3 days of no water. It is totally worth it. What have you learned, Jackson? 2 lessons. 1, eating a lot of eggs will give you really bad gas. And 2, which is more important, if you have a dream, go for it. Even your mom thinks that you're an idiot. But make sure that do not give up, because once you give up, you will become a real idiot. When I was pursuing my dream during the preparation period, I have hundreds of excuses and reasons for me to slack off or give up. I don't have the time. It's so tiring. My mom told me that it doesn't worth it. But I only needed one reason for me to begin in the first place. I wrote that reason down on a piece of paper. Every time when I wanted to give up, I looked into this paper and asked myself, why did I start? because of these 7 words. I want to compete on the stage. I went through all the crazy training and crazy diets. So after graduations, I came to Capital. Yeah. I'm very excited about my job because I feel like I've been learning something new from all my colleagues every day. So 2 months ago, when I was grabbing a coffee in the office pantry, I saw a poster again, CapitalSpeaks 2018. At that time, I told myself, let me give it a shot. So that night, I went back home, I signed up for the audition. I wrote down 7 words on a piece of paper. I want to become a public speaker. And here I come today. And lucky that I'm wearing a suit, not a Speedo anymore. And I would like to thank you everyone for having me today, and also thank Capital, and also the CapitalSpeaks organizing committee, Michael, Michelle, Paul, Shane, Jenny, and the rest of the team. You guys are awesome. Thank you for helping me to pursue my public speaking dream. Thank you. Finally, what's my next dream? Jackson? You know what? I don't know. Ask my wife, Jennifer. She's also here today. The girl I wanted to impress at UPenn is not my wife. And she has been very supportive to all my life decisions, including the crazy ones. And I promised her no more hard-boiled eggs. In the future, we have one more dream. We wanted to share one more Speedo photo that I've never shown anyone before to our future kids. This was me when I was 3 years old. 2 messages. One is perfectly okay and socially acceptable to wear a Speedo in China. And 2, who could ever imagine this tiny little boy would become a bodybuilder in 27 years? Anything is possible. Thank you.
Jackson, you!
Thank you.
Great job. I'm gonna take the picture.